Apple's most affordable iPhone is here, the iPhone 16e. But is it really affordable? Well, that depends. But I have been using this phone for a couple of weeks, and one thing is for sure, that the iPhone 16e makes for a great entry point into the Apple ecosystem. I have my reasons. Let's break it down. Let's start with the pricing. The iPhone 16e is priced starting 59,900 in India, and if you include some of the bank offers, you can get it for about 55,000. If you have an old phone that you'd like to exchange, then you'd be able to snag it for around under 50,000. At that price, if you can actually get it for 50,000, I think the 16e is a great deal. Even at around 55,000, I think this iPhone 16e makes sense for a lot of people, and here is why. Now, if we look at the display and design of the iPhone 16e, the 16e has a 6.1-inch OLED display. The design here is actually quite reminiscent of the iPhone 7, if you remember, or if you're slightly younger, maybe the iPhone XR, the 10R. The 7 used to have a matte black finish, if you remember, and this really reminds me of that. What is interesting on the 16e is that the traditional mute toggle button has been replaced with a more modern action button. So the action button lets you customize the camera functions, use a DND on it, and most importantly, visual intelligence. But I'm going to talk about that in a minute. A very important addition on the iPhone 16e is that it now uses a USB-C port, just like the latest iPhone 16 series. If we talk about power, the iPhone 16e uses the A18 chipset, which is the same that the iPhone 16 series, the newest, the latest one, uses. The only difference is that the 16e's chipset has one fewer core. But don't let that fool you, because the A18 chip on the iPhone 16e still has 6 cores CPU, 4 core GPU, and a 16 core neural engine, which according to Apple makes it 80% faster than A13 Bionic from the iPhone 11. All of that is just numbers. I have been using the phone for 2 weeks, and I can tell you that I have installed about, or maybe a little more than a decade's worth of data on this phone. I've been multitasking on it throughout the day. I use multiple social media apps. I always have Apple Music running on the background. I've never felt a lag. And I'm somebody who has been using iPhone 16 Pro as my primary for a long time. Obviously, you see differences in speed, camera performance and all that, but when overall performance is considered, I think the 16e does not show any prominent lags or anything in the performance. Since we talk about cameras, iPhone 16e has what Apple calls a 2-in-1 camera. So here is basically a 48 megapixel fusion sensor, which is the same that you get on the 16, but this sensor is slightly smaller comparatively. The 2-in-1 part, so Apple basically says that in addition to the primary 48 megapixel fusion camera that you get, there is also a 2x telephoto capability that they've added over here. Now, this is a digitally added thing. They claim it gives you optical quality image, but it's not an optical zoom. It's still a digitally done zoom, but it will give you optical quality image. All of that is good. I was using the camera. I actually thought that in great lighting, portrait mode does a pretty brilliant job. You can see some of our samples that the background separation is very good. The colors are pretty decent. The portrait bokeh effect is quite nice. However, where the iPhone 16e struggles is low light. You can see some noise in the images. That is an issue even when you use the front camera for selfies. You do notice that there is some loss of clarity in images, but I think if you are somebody who's not primarily using an iPhone or any smartphone for photography, like if you're just taking images for social media, I think this should do the job for you. Now let's talk about the battery life. So Apple says that the iPhone 16e has the biggest battery any 6.1-inch iPhone has ever had. Of course, Apple does not reveal numbers, so we don't know what the actual size of the battery is. But I have been using the phone, and with the kind of usage that I mentioned, with multiple apps, multitasking, pretty much a heavy usage that I have, I was easily able to get about a day's battery life on single charge. Now let's talk about the most interesting part about the iPhone 16e, Apple Intelligence and Visual Intelligence. Now here's the thing, this is their affordable phone. You do have to spend around 50,000-60,000 rupees to buy this phone. There are some corners that you'll see cut, like if there is wireless charging support on this, there is not MagSafe accessory compatibility on it. So you do see some corners being cut, but I think the Apple Intelligence and Visual Intelligence support on this device is a proper redeeming quality of the 16e. So Apple Intelligence features are currently not available on the iPhone 16e, but I was in Bombay and I got to use these features and I think they are a lot of fun. So with Apple Intelligence, you will be able to do a bunch of things. For instance, in the messaging app, you can now create your emoji or anything. Actually, it's system-wide. So anywhere in the app, if you go and type, for instance, elephant and chef, you can make your own emoji of an elephant wearing a chef's hat. Or if you go into notes, you will get complete ChatGPT integrated into the app. So if you want to write something, research something, you want to improve the writing that you've already taken notes of, all of that ChatGPT can do for you. Then comes Visual Intelligence, which I think is a lot of fun. So with Visual Intelligence, all you have to do is use the action button. Long pressing the action button will trigger Visual Intelligence, and then you can point it at anything, for instance these flowers, and it will tell you what it is in real time. You can ask it questions about it. It's really cool, I think. Now let's talk about the big question. A lot of people have been talking and asking us about the comparison between the iPhone 15 and iPhone 16e. Now that comparison isn't exactly unfair, because with the iPhone 16e priced around 55,000-60,000, the iPhone 15 with a bunch of offers, you can get it for around 60,000 too, like around 60,000-62,000 rupees. So a lot of people say that why should I not just put in slightly extra money and go for the iPhone 15? After all, with the iPhone 15, you'll get better cameras compared to the iPhone 16e. But here's the thing, this comparison isn't as simple as it seems. There's a lot going on for both the phones, and the choice really depends on you. So with the iPhone 16e, you get the A18 chipset. The iPhone 15 on the other hand runs on older chipset, which is the A16 Bionic. Then if you compare, the iPhone 15 has a traditional mute toggle. Some people like the tactile feel of that toggle. But on the 16e, you get the more recent, more modern action button. Which one do you prefer? That depends on you. Now the big comparison would be, of course, the camera. Like I mentioned, iPhone 15 has 2 cameras. You will get more versatility when you click a picture. iPhone 16e has 1, a 2-in-1 camera, but a physical single sensor. iPhone 16e has better battery. iPhone 15, we don't know what is the battery size, but Apple claims that 16e has the biggest battery size in any 6.1-inch phone. 16e and 15e have similar displays, similar refresh rates, but the 16e has the new Apple C1 modem. iPhone 15 has the Qualcomm X70 modem. Apple says that C1 is able to give you a better battery life as well. So again, there is so much going on for the 16e and the iPhone 15. But here is where I think the 16e has a slightly better weightage, that you get Apple Intelligence features. For some reason, iPhone 15 cannot run Apple Intelligence features. iPhone 16e, however, can. In April, you will be able to use Apple Intelligence and Visual Intelligence on iPhone 16e, which I think is a big plus point. But does it matter to you? You have to decide. Coming back to my original argument, I think the iPhone 16e still makes a lot of sense for people who want to enter the Apple ecosystem with the latest features and everything, because you can get a slightly better price on the 16e if you'd like. With the 15s, yes, it's a great iPhone. It can still be a great choice for somebody who's entering into the ecosystem, but you would miss out on the buzz of AI, buzz of Apple Intelligence if you're on the 15, because that will not support Apple Intelligence and Visual Intelligence features. So ultimately, it really all boils down to you. It really depends on what you want out of your phone. iPhone 16e gives you a pretty decent package of display, battery, design, camera. So it really depends on what you want out of your phone. So that's a review of the iPhone 16e. Keep following Fiber for more such videos.